Hello students, welcome to Vistas Learning. This is Shruti D. Nadiga. We are Vistas Learning, provide you the quality education for all. I am the chemistry tutor and we are already started with the redox reaction. Yes students, the loss of electrons gives you the oxidation, whereas the gain of electrons gives you reduction, and hence we get the reaction, redox reaction. And here this is our fourth lecturing class. Here we are learning how to balance the redox reactions. Here we have two methods, students, so we need to know about that. Where for balancing we use two methods. Okay, fine. So one of these methods is based on the change in oxidation number. We know that oxidation number is being changed. What is the oxidation number? We'll be having different types of reactions also. We have studied the types of chemical reactions. 4 types of chemical reactions are there. In that oxidation number, if it is varying, then we'll understand which is reduced in the oxidation number, we call it as reduction. Increase in the oxidation number, we call it as oxidation. So from knowing about the oxidation number, we can decide or balance the equation. And the next one is that splitting the redox reaction into two half reactions. So as we know, we have to know about one oxidation reaction and the other is reduction half reaction. So these two half reaction, we are splitting the reaction and balancing and then again adding it up. So this is the two types where balancing of redox reaction we are involving. The first thing is that oxidation number method. In this method, the compositions and the formula, whatever the reactants and the product we are getting, those formulae should be written correctly. Then we have to write the correct formula of the reactants and products. The next one is that we need to assign the oxidation number of each element in each molecule. Next one is that we need to calculate the increase and decrease in oxidation number. Then only we'll understand which is being reduced, which is being oxidized. If the increase or decrease in oxidation number is not equal, then what we need to do? Then we need to multiply the suitable number such that both the oxidation numbers should become equal. As certain, the involvement of ions, if the reaction has been taking place, water or H plus or OH minus ions are added to the given ionic reactions. So we can add water molecule. If it is acidic in nature, we have to add, if it is taking, the reaction has been taking place in acid medium, we need to add H plus ion, whereas if it is taking in basic medium, we need to add OH minus ions. If the reaction is carried out in acidic solution, so what we need to add? H plus, okay? We need to use H plus ions in the equation, whereas if it is basic reaction or basic solution, we need to use OH minus ions. We'll just check with the next step. Make the numbers of hydrogen atoms in the expression on the both the sides. Both the sides, two sides should be equal. What should be equal? Both the hydrogen atoms should be equal. How do you make this equal? Because we are adding either H plus or OH minus on the equation, right? On either of the side, wherever we are adding. Then hydrogen atoms will be increased, right? To balance that, we need to add water molecule. We need to add water molecule, exactly opposite to that, where we are adding H plus or OH minus ions. Also check the number of oxygen atoms in the reactants and products. Then equation represents the balanced redox reaction. Got the students? It will just see through how we can do it with an example. Write the net ionic equation for the reaction of potassium dichromate. So they have given potassium dichromate in words. We need to know what is the chemical formula for that. So what is that? K2Cr2O7 with sodium sulfite. What is sodium sulfite? Na2SO3. Here students, as I said, sulfide IDE, if I take, it is S-2. If I take sulfate ATE, then it is SO4 -2. If I take sulfite PHITE, then that will be SO3 -2. The charge on them will be equal, but if I take IDE, it is only sulfur molecule atom, whereas for sulfate ATE, it is 4 oxygen atom which is been accompanying the sulfur, whereas sulfite ITE will have 3 oxygen atoms with the sulfur. Got this? So here they have given ITE, hence we get Na2SO3. Okay? Then that has been taking place in which medium? Acid medium, and that gives you chromium and sulfate ions. So here the difference between sulfite and sulfate you should understand. That means SO3 -2 is being converted into SO4 -2. Okay, good. So this is the equation, general equation, what we get when the potassium dichromate reacts with sodium sulfite, which gives you chromium sulfate plus sodium sulfate plus potassium sulfate. We are not considering this, students, because this will obviously, it is not involved in the ionic equation. So we are not just considering this, we are considering chromium as well as sulfate ions. So the first step is that we need to write the skeletal ionic equation. So what is the skeletal ionic equation here? We are not considering this potassium and sodium also, because it is the ionic equation. So what happens when I split this? I'll get 2K plus Cr2O7 -2. So that ion I am taking here. With this sulfite, Na plus 1, how many atoms? 2 atoms, plus SO3 -2 I'll get. This SO3 -2 I'm taking here. Got it? And as we get here ions of chromium and sulfate, we are writing this as it is. So this is the skeletal equation. It is not been balanced. If the equation is not balanced, we call it as a skeletal ionic equation. Got it? If it is in ionic form. If it is in molecular form, we call it as skeletal equation. If the equation is balanced, we call it as balanced equation. So now we need to assign the oxidation number for chromium and sulfur. Why chromium and sulfur? Those are the two things which are taking place with the reduction or increase or decrease in oxidation number. So what is the oxidation number of chromium here? Can you guess? It is +6 and -2 for oxygen. Obviously we know that. And sulfur here +4, oxygen is -2 as it is. And here chromium is +3. As we can see, only chromium atom is there with the charge +3. So that gives its oxidation number here. Whereas for sulfate, we have +6. I think you can understand how to calculate this. If not, in the previous class we have discussed the strengths. You can get back to those videos. So we get the chromium, which is been +6 reduced to +3, whereas sulfur is +4, which has been increased to +6. So increase and decrease of oxidation number, we need to calculate that. So after calculating, we get to know reaction occurs in acidic medium, right? We calculated how many electrons from chromium to there. It is +3, means 3 electrons are added. From sulfur to this sulfate, 2 electrons are removed. 2 electrons are removed. Okay. So it is taking place in acidic medium. So what we need to add? H plus ions. Where we need to add H plus ions? Students, what happens here is that before adding H plus ions, the trick what we can follow is that if you count the oxygen atoms. So here 7 plus 3, 10. Here it is 4. So how many oxygen atoms are less on the other side? It is 6, right? So you can directly add 6 water molecules on the other side. We'll just check it out how to do it. Reaction occurs in acidic medium. The ionic charges are not equal on both the sides. Add 8 plus ions on the left hand side to make the ionic charges equal. So here, as I said, we need to multiply this with the if I take this, as I said, how many? 3 electrons are reduced. Here 2 electrons are reduced. How to make them equal? We need to multiply 3 to the other side. So then we get 2 electrons and 3 electrons equal. So that is what we are doing here. We are multiplying 3 for sulfur, 2 for chromium. You need to remember, students, 2 atoms of chromium are already here. But this plus 6 is only for one carbon, one chromium atom. So what we do? We don't multiply 2 for this chromium atom. Instead, we multiply that for chromium here. So 2 electrons are extra for sulfur. When we are just removing the 2 electron, we get 2 electrons are removed. The ion which is being different, the oxidation number which is different for sulfur is 2. For chromium is 3. So what we do? We multiply 2 for chromium, 3 for sulfur. So that is what we are doing. We are not multiplying here for chromate because already 2 atoms of chromium is present. So 3SO3, and this we'll just discuss. We have 2 Cr plus 3, that is we are multiplying 2 for chromium, 3 for sulfate. Now we need to decide 7 plus 3 3s are 9, and here 4 3s are 12. So can you tell me, we have 13 here, there 12, right? So 16 and here 12 oxygen atoms. Oxygen atoms is not been balanced. So how many oxygen atoms are deficient? 4. So what we need to do? We need to add 4 water molecules in the deficient side. That means on product side we need to add 4 H2O. Then you can get 4 2s are 8, 8 H plus ions on the other side. Then it will be balanced. Okay. While doing in textbooks, how they give is that first we are adding the H plus ions and then we are adding water molecules. It will be easier for you if you add water molecules first, and later you can easily identify how many H plus ions we need to add here. Got it? So the next step says about hydrogen atoms we need to balance. So we need to add water molecules. How many hydrogen atoms? 8, and hence we can add 4 water molecules. We get the equation. So next, permanganate ion reacts with bromide ion in basic medium to give manganese dioxide and bromate ion. So this is taking place in basic medium. First, previously what we did it for acidic medium. Now we are going ahead with basic medium. Write the balanced ionic equation for the reaction. So for that we need to know the skeletal ionic equation, that is manganate. Permanganate ion is MnO4 minus. You need to know the chemical formula for the substance what they are given. And bromide ion. Bromide means Br minus. And that gives you manganese dioxide MnO2 plus bromate. See students how I said for the sulfide, sulfate. Similarly, bromide means only Br minus 1. Bromate means oxygen is involved. So BrO3 minus. You can ask me, ma'am, for sulfate it is SO4 minus 2, whereas for bromate it is BrO3 minus. Yes students, so number of oxygen atoms that atom or element can adhere, the maximum oxygen atoms it can hold with that or combine will give you the equation MATE. That means ATE at the last. So for bromate it can maximum hold 3 oxygen atoms. For sulfur it is 4. So it differs with each element. So for bromate it is ATE, for BrO3 not BrO4. And also the symbol, the charge depends on its own. It is not same for each and every ion. Okay, that is what we call it as radicals. These radicals will be having different compositions, but we need to know what is the formula for bromide, bromate separately. So then only you can write the skeletal ionic equation. Next we need to assign the oxidation number for Mn and Br. So Br is how much here? -1. Here it is 3 2s are 6. 6 minus 1, 5. So it will get +5. Okay. Mn it is -2. 2 2s are 4. -2 means this will have +4. Whereas 4 2s are 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. So Mn will get +7. So we will assign that +7, -1, +4 and +5. So this indicates that permanganate ion is oxidant, whereas the bromide ion is reductant. How do you understand this? It is been reduced, this is been oxidized. Okay. Next step, calculate the increase and decrease in oxidation number. As we know from bromate, it is +7 to +3. So what happens? 3 electrons are added. Whereas from bromine, it is been 6 electrons are removed. Okay. So as the reaction occurs in the basic medium, we need to know, we need to add OH minus ions. So MnO4 minus, Br minus, MnO2, BrO3. Now we need to know the oxygen atoms. Here it is 4 2s are 8. Before that we need to know that, students. So as we see here, this is 6 electrons which is been removed, right? Where here it is 3, right? So that means we can directly multiply this with 2 such that we'll get 6 electrons. No need of multiplying 6 to 3 and 3 to 6, because we can easily multiply 2 to get equal number of electrons donated and taken. So we need to multiply 2 for the Mn. No need of multiplying anything for bromine, such that it will be equal. The number of ions or electrons which is been donated and accepted will be equal now. Then we need to add OH minus ion or H plus ion, seeing either it is basic or acidic medium. So since it is in basic medium, we need to add OH minus ion. For that, 4 2s are 8 oxygen atoms, 2 2s are 4 plus 3, that is 7. Right? 7 oxygen atoms. Here we have how many? 8 oxygen atoms. So what we need to do? 1 water molecule we need to add on the side where it is been less. So if I add here, one water molecule, then what happens? We'll get OH minus added on the other side. So we need to check that clearly, and we'll get the equation that water molecule will be added here, and what is the oxygen atoms deficient, that will be given here. So we need to add 1 oxygen atom, we'll add OH minus ion here. But one OH minus ion will not give you one water molecule, because one water molecule will have two H plus ions. That means here again one oxygen will be increased. So what we need to do? We need to take two OH minus ions. Got it? So finally we get the equation as 2MnO4 minus plus Br minus plus H2O, which gives you 2MnO2 plus BrO3 minus plus 2OH minus. Next we have half reaction method. So the half reaction method, as I said, we need to balance it separately. We need to take half reaction of oxidation reaction, half reduction reaction, and then balance. Produce unbalance the equation showing, then separate the equation into half reactions. So half reaction, if you take, this is the Fe plus 2, which is been getting into Fe plus 3. So Fe plus 2 to Fe plus 3, increase in oxidation number, it is undergoing oxidation, loss of electron, so it is oxidation. What is the oxidation number here? Plus 2 and plus 3. So reduction half reaction, chromate, dichromate we are taking. Here again we have Cr with plus 6, whereas this is plus 3. So it is decrease in oxidation number, addition of electrons, hence it is reduction half reaction, where we get the reaction with the oxidation number as plus 6 and plus 3. Next, balance the atom other than that of oxygen and hydrogen in each of the half reaction. We are taking the half reaction here, we have to balance it. How to balance it? We have two chromium here, whereas here only one. So we need to balance the chromium without oxygen and hydrogen. So oxygen you should neglect it. So how many? 2 chromium atoms I am adding 2 here. Okay, since we get this balanced equation for chromium. Next, for the reaction occurring in the acidic medium, if it is occurring in acidic medium, we need to add H plus ions. How many H plus ions you will add? How do you know? Here, as I said, chromium, it is been balanced. Now we need to balance the oxygen, right? We have 7 oxygen atoms. So it is clear that don't worry about the H plus ions now. Directly how many oxygen atoms you have to add? Those many water molecules you add, because we have one water with one oxygen. So if I take 7 water molecules, I'll directly get 7 water molecules as 7 oxygen balanced, right? So now I'll take 7 to 14. So 14 H plus ions on the other side. Now this half equation is balanced. Got it? 2 chromium and 7 oxygen and 14 hydrogen. Next, we need to add the electron to one side of the half reaction to balance the charges. Yes, for this reaction we need to check the reaction. This is the oxidation half reaction. What is the electrons we are removing here? From Fe plus 2, we are removing 1 electron to get Fe plus 3. So Fe plus 2 to Fe plus 3. Here we are not adding water molecules, not H plus ions, not OH minus ions, because there is no oxygen on either of the side there is no oxygen. Got it? Good. Now the reduction half reaction, there here net 12 positive charges. We need to check that also here. How many electrons? For oxidation half reaction we have 1 electron, but for reduction half reaction how many electrons are involved? Here 6 to 3, right? 6 to 12. 12 minus 6, it is 6 electrons. So we have 6 electrons which is involved in reduction half reaction. To equalize that, we need to multiply this 6 to the oxidation half reaction. See students, here for oxidation half reaction we have 1 electron. For reduction we have 6 electron. No need of exchanging here. Directly you just multiply 6 here, because even though I multiply 1 electron here, it is the same 6 electrons, right? So if you have 1 here, directly multiply 6, you will get the equation which is been balanced. So 6 Fe2 plus gives you 6 Fe3 plus 6 electrons. So the electrons in the reduction and the oxidation half reaction will be balanced. Okay. The next step, we need to add both the half reactions such that we'll get the balanced reaction. So how to add? Fe 6 Fe plus 2. So 6 Fe plus 2. Cr2O7 2 minus. Cr2O7 2 minus. 14H plus 14H plus. This electron will get cancelled on both the sides. Okay? Because this is on right hand side or product side. Here it is on product side, this is on reactant side. So if they are in the opposite side, we can cancel them. So the electrons will get cancelled. And in the reactant side, we'll get 6 Fe3 plus 2Cr3 plus 7 water molecules. So this is how we can balance in half reactions, taking two half reactions, splitting them, balancing each one separately, and then adding them, will get the half reaction method. So next, verify the equation contents. As whatever we have here, we need to verify 6 Fe, 2Cr, and 7OH, 7O, and 14H. So it is been balanced. So we need to verify, whenever we do the balancing equation, we need to verify whether all the atoms of same kind are balanced or not. And then for the reaction in basic medium, first balance the atoms in the same thing as we did in the acidic medium. Similarly, we need to balance in the basic medium also. The difference is that we need to add H plus ions, whereas in basic medium we need to add OH minus ions. Then for each H plus ions, add an equal number of OH minus ions to both side of the equation, where H plus and OH minus appear on the same side of the equation. Combining, we get H plus or H2O. Next, redox reaction as the basis of titration. Students, till now we just understood about the balancing equation. Now this is the titration. What do you mean by titration? So titration is a process where we take a flask, we have a burette, we take a flask. In flask we have one solution, in burette we have another solution, and we'll add the indicator such that to get to know whether the reaction is been completed or not. So that indicator will give you the change in color at the point of reaction, end of the reaction. So we have the titration here, many types of titrations we have here. In acid-base system, titration method for finding the strength of the solution, one solution against the other, using pH sensitive indicator. What is this pH? pH refers to the potential of hydrogen. So if pH is less, that is lesser than 7, then we say it is acidic in nature. If it is more than 7, we say it is basic in nature. If it is 7, we call it as neutral in nature. So here, if we take the permanganate, potassium permanganate, generally we can use this permanganate as self-indicator. So because this changes its color from colorless to pink color or pale pink to colorless on difference of the pH sensitive. So we call it as self-indicator. The best example is afforded by dichromate, which is not a self-indicator, but it oxidizes the indicator substance like diphenylamine. So if I take KMNO4 or permanganate, that itself will change the color. But if I take dichromate, it will not. If I add the indicator, excuse me, if I add the indicator diphenylamine, it oxidizes this diphenylamine, where this diphenylamine will give you the difference in color. So that gives you intense blue color, and hence we can understand which is the endpoint using this dichromate solution. Got it? Yes. So this is the titration, students, where you can see okay, let it be. So this is the burette. This is the flask which we are using. This is the burette stand. When the solution has been taken inside and this is been dropped, the color will change after some time. That gives you the end point. Got it? That gives you the end point. So this is the titration setup. Limitations of concepts of oxidation number. Excuse me. According to classical approach, many reactions are, almost all of the reactions are redox reactions. Practically, it is not possible to do the same by applying the oxidation number concept, because if you consider the equation, excuse me, here silicon chloride, lithium aluminum hydride, silicon hydride, lithium chloride and aluminum chloride. So what happens here? Silicon is reduced and both lithium and aluminum are getting oxidized. But that cannot be identified using oxidation number, because oxidation number here for silicon is +4, aluminum is +3, lithium is +1, hydrogen is -1, where here silicon is +4, lithium is +1, aluminum is +3. The oxidation number is not at all changed. For each, the product and the reactant side, both sides we have the same oxidation number of each element and it is not being changed. So by this method, by using oxidation number method, we cannot solve all the redox reactions. Got it? Even though here the silicon has been reduced and lithium and aluminum is got oxidized, we cannot say, or we cannot do this by oxidation number method. According to the concept of oxidation number, none of the species is undergoing any change in the oxidation number in this given equation. So it becomes difficult to classify a reaction as redox reaction according to the classical or electronic and oxidation number approach. So even you can see this equation also. Here also we cannot get any of the atom with different oxidation number, but still they are undergoing redox reaction. So we cannot do any of the equations, this equation with any of these balancing equations, we cannot do this. Okay. To overcome these limitations, a broader concept of redox process in terms of change in electron density has been proposed. So we'll check with the electron density and then solve these equations, either it is redox reaction or not. So redox reaction and electrode process. So what is electrode process, we need to know. Here what happens is that we have the cathode which has been used with a carbon, excuse me, water get attracted here, it splits into H plus ions and they gain electron and they become H2 and they vaporize. Redox reactions and electrode processes, as we discussed just now, we have to take zinc rod which is been dipped in copper sulfate solution. This we know. We just did it previously. I am taking a beaker. We have a zinc rod which is been dipped in copper sulfate solution. The redox reaction takes place and during this reaction zinc is oxidized to zinc ions. That means Zn is been oxidized to Zn2 plus by removal of 2 electrons. Okay, and copper in the solution form, copper ions will be reduced to metallic copper. That is Cu2 plus will gain 2 electrons and we get Cu. Okay, 2, we get Cu atom, the metallic copper. During this reaction, it is evolved because it is an exothermic reaction. Take copper sulfate solution in a beaker and put a strip of copper rod in it. Take zinc sulfate solution and add zinc rod in it. A redox couple, this is called as, in each different beakers, in one beaker copper sulfate with copper, zinc sulfate with zinc. That is called as a redox couple. So redox couple is defined as having together the oxidizing and reducing forms of the substance taking part in oxidation and reduction half reaction. So reduction, this setup what I said, if you take the, here copper sulfate CuSO4, here zinc sulfate ZnSO4, and this is zinc rod, this is copper rod, and if you connect it with a wire, then we call this as, we also have salt bridge here, then this setup is called as Daniell cell. Electron produced at the anode due to the oxidation of zinc travels through, so what happens here, it gets oxidized, so Zn becomes oxidized, electrons is been removed from zinc, so those electrons will travel from here and they gain copper, Cu2 plus will be present, that copper sulfate, it gains electrons and become deposits on the copper. So here the external circuit, the electrons will pass through the external circuit to the cathode where the copper gets reduced. So the circuit is completed inside the cell by migration of ions through the salt bridge. So as I said, the salt bridge is been used for the migration of ions, which helps in completing the circuit. So it may be noted that direction of the current is opposite to the direction of electron flow. Yes students, this is correct. Whenever the electrons are moving, so if I say from A to B, electrons are moving from A to B, we say that current is flowing from B to A. This is what we say. So this is the setup. You can see the solution, zinc sulfate solution, copper sulfate solution with copper rod and zinc rod, which has been connected externally, and this is connected internally. Salt bridge helps in movement of ions to balance it. So it completes the circuit where you can get the electrons traveling from zinc to copper, but the direction of current will be from plus to negative charge. Okay, do remember that electron flow will be from zinc to copper, but the electricity or current will be flowing from copper to zinc. So next, here, as we know, the reaction takes place at the electrode of, this is half cell, this is half cell, this is zinc half cell, this is copper half cell. So what happens in the zinc half cell? Zn2 plus is been produced by Zn, whereas in copper will get Cu by Cu2 plus. So in both cases, oxidized form is put before the reduced form. Now put the beaker containing copper sulfate solution and beaker containing zinc sulfate solution. Connect solution in two beakers by a salt bridge. The same explanation. This setup has been explained further. So a U-tube containing a solution potassium chloride or ammonium nitrate is used as a salt bridge. So it's solidified by boiling with agar-agar medium. Later, which is been cooled, we get a jelly-like structure which is used as a salt bridge. used inside the salt bridge. So this provides the electric contact between two cells, two half cells, without allowing them to mix each other. And zinc and copper rods are connected by a metallic wire with provision of the ammeter, which shows you the deflection in current, flow of current. When switch is in the off position, no reaction takes place in either of the beakers, so no current flows through the metallic wire. The transfer of electrons now does not take place from zinc to copper, but through the metallic wire connecting two rods is as it is apparent from the arrows which indicates flow of current is from copper to zinc. The electricity from solution in beaker to solution in the other beaker flows by the migration of ions through the salt bridge. We know that the flow of current is possible only if there is a potential difference between copper and zinc rods as electrodes. Here zinc and copper rod acts as a electrode. If we have to have a current flow, then we need to have some difference with the potential. If the electrode potential is been equated, then there is no flow of electric current. Next we have standard electrode potential. So this standard electrode potential is associated with each electrode, which is known as electrode potential. We need to know about the electrode difference, potential difference between two cells, two electrodes, right? So copper and zinc, if you want to know what is the exact potential of copper, what is the exact potential of zinc, how to know that? We know the comparison, the electricity is passing through, so they have certain electrode potential. But how to know exact potential of each element? For that we need to know about the standard electrode potential. If the concentration of each species taken part in the electrode reaction is unity, then in the electrode reaction it is taken as 1 atmospheric pressure, and further reaction is carried out at 298 Kelvin. Then the potential of each electrode is said to be standard electrode potential. So conditions are maintained in such a way that 1 atmospheric pressure and 298 Kelvin, the electrode potential what it displays will be called as standard electrode potential. By conventional method, the standard electrode potential of hydrogen is 00 volts. That means that hydrogen will have 00 volts. It doesn't have any electricity which has been passed. So what we can say, we can take the hydrogen and compare with other to get the exact electrode potential of given substances. For example, if I connect this hydrogen cell with the zinc, I'll get some reading. So that will be the standard electrode potential of zinc. Then if I take hydrogen and compare with the copper, I'll get the electrode potential of copper. So the electrode potential value of each electrode process is measure of the relative tendency of the active species in the process to remain in the oxidized or reduced form. Or negative E minus, you will get the electrode potential difference, right? If that is negative, that means redox couple is stronger reducing agent than hydrogen couple. And a positive E minus is been attained, that means the redox couple is weaker reducing agent than hydrogen. We are referring the stronger and weaker reducing agents here. The standard electrode potentials are very important and we can get a lot of useful information from them. So the values of standard electrode potentials for some selected electrode processes will be given. We'll just check with this. This is the hydrogen, standard hydrogen potential, where how to find it out. This is a setup where we have platinum wire, platinum electrode, hydrogen which is getting inside inlet, this is outlet. When electron gets inside, the electricity will pass through and it will be gaining electron and oxidize this. So we have two reaction which is taking place here. If you see, the same hydrogen is been linked with zinc, where zinc is oxidized and we get a value of 0.76, and that gives you the value of electrode potential, standard electrode potential of zinc. So I hope you understand this. If I just repeat this, we have platinum wire which has been acting as electrode, 2 wires which has been acting as the electrode, one electrode and the other electrode, and here hydrogen inlet where hydrogen is allowed to come, and here hydrogen is here, from here hydrogen is again allowed to come. So what happens here at the point of contact, here electrons are flowing, it becomes H plus becomes H, H2 becomes H plus plus electron minus, and on the other way the same thing will be reversed, and that gives you 0 as a volt, right? So that gives the 0 volt, and that we are taking here and connecting with the zinc. So to check the value of zinc, the electrode potential of zinc, we can have this setup, and when we checked it with the comparison of hydrogen, we get the value of 0.76 volts, which is for zinc. So here are some of the examples, the list of electrode potentials, standard electrode potentials. If you see, we have fluorine which is having 2.87, that means it is having positive charge, that is acting as a weak reducing agent. If you see here lithium, lithium is having minus 3.05, that means lithium is a very strong reducing agent. We know that reducing agent and oxidizing agent are reverse matter. That means if it is having positive, we can say fluorine is strong oxidizing agent, whereas lithium is strong reducing agent. You can also see the hydrogen here. Can you see the hydrogen which is having 0, 0? That means above the hydrogen all are almost strong oxidizing agents, whereas below the hydrogen we have strong reducing agents. Hope you understand this, students. So by this we finishes our class of the session, balancing the equation and knowing how to get to know the electrode potential, what is standard electrode potential, how can we convert chemical energy to the electrical energy. We also known about the Daniell cell. So hope you enjoyed this class, students. We are always here. If you have any doubts, you can get back to us. We are here and we are happy to guide you with the syllabus or the subject, whatever you are having difficulty in. Thanks for watching, students.